Tired of feeling tired? Done with diet culture? Overwhelmed by conflicting nutrition and fitness messages? Then join us, your hosts of the Nutrition Revolution podcast, as we take a deep dive into all things women's fitness and nutrition. I'm Kimberly.
And I'm Tabitha. And together we are debunking diet culture myths and giving you the tools you need to finally see the results you're looking for.
All right, Tabitha, today I am coming to you with a question that I had this week with a client. They have a plan, they know what they want to do, and they are just like dedicated to, I want to lose X amount of weight by this time frame. So they've just been on it, doing their workouts, eating right, and every time I look at their tracker, everything is exact. They're hitting their calories, their macros, everything that we lined out for them. But I recently found out that they are eating chocolate and they're ordering out and not putting in their tracker. So for me, it kind of breaks my trust with like, as their coach, I'm one of those, I'm not the food police. I will teach you how to eat in a way that hits your goals with whatever you want to eat. As long as you are hitting your right macros or calories, we can make everything work.
Yeah, and as long as you're like honest and transparent too, so I can see how I can help you fit these things in. Yeah, okay.
So now I have this dilemma of, one, how do I approach this client? And two, how do I teach this client that they can eat the right things or eat whatever they want within their range? But I guess for me, I look at that and I see, one, the only person you're harming by not being honest on your tracker is yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for me, you know, I'm hitting my goals with what I'm eating.
Right.
I've taught you all of the things you need to hit your goals. If you're not tracking, it doesn't hurt my goals at all. You know, it hurts, you know, our relationship or whatever, but it's not affecting my health. It's not affecting my weight. It's not affecting what I'm doing in the gym. All that it's doing when you lie to your coach about tracking is affecting you and your results. So what do you think? What would you do?
So, I mean, my first thought is very business oriented. And I'm like, are they sitting here telling me that they're not getting results? Right? Like, have they been complaining about like, I'm doing all the things and it's not working, right? Because then it's like, well, you're saying that my programming doesn't work. My coaching isn't helping you, but you're actually not doing the work and you're not being honest and transparent. So I'm kind of like, go for the kill shot, like confront them head on, like how you figured it out or whatever. It doesn't even really matter. And then find out like, well, why? Why are you feeling like you can't be honest with yourself, right? Because again, like you said, it's not hurting you as the coach. It doesn't impact anything that you do. Why are they not being honest with themselves and try to figure out what it is there? Like, are they just embarrassed? Is it too much too soon? Right? Like, did they they have this goal of losing weight and to be healthier or whatever in X amount of time, but was it a realistic goal for them? Right. And so instead of being dishonest, I would say, hey, do we need to like reevaluate your goals and maybe change the plan so that you can feel successful without having to go behind my back or be dishonest.
Right. If you're craving chocolate, there are so many ways to get chocolate into your nutrition plan that you have to meet your goals. Add some chocolate chips onto your yogurt, add chocolate protein shakes, whatever you need. There's ways to do that. So for me, sneaking Reese's peanut butter cups it's a bigger emotional, psychological
I agree.
problem.
There's something else going on
the
there.
Food portion. So a lot of times with my clients, we have this policy of sneaking your foods to light, right? So if you are having an issue with hiding foods, I know, you know, my background, I used to sneak food and be like, oh, I want people to wonder why I can't lose weight. It's, you know, all they ever see me eating is broccoli and healthy foods. But behind their backs, I was binging on things that I shouldn't have been having.
Yeah.
So for me, as the emotional side of eating, I'm a big proponent of bring those foods to light. Don't hide your foods. Don't sneak your foods, because all that's doing is teaching you that there's good foods versus bad foods.
Yeah.
And you're not allowed to have something, or there's shame and there's guilt.
I was just getting ready to say, it brings about shame, that there's something inherently wrong with food when that's really that's not the case at all, right? Because food's not the enemy. So I love that. You said bring your food to the light.
Yeah.
That's really great.
Yeah. And I think it's a helpful strategy because a lot of times we're hiding these foods. Who are we hiding them from?
Right.
Right? Like, are you hiding them from just because you're not eating it in front of people doesn't mean it didn't actually happen. And so that brings me to the tracking part. You know, if you're supposed to be tracking everything you're eating and you're keeping off Reese's or Oreos or whatever, that's not affecting me. It's affecting you. And so why not track it? And I feel like for me, and I'm not sure how you do it, I'm not a huge tracking person. I don't track all the time. I track when I feel like I need a revamp. And my clients don't track all the time unless they have a specific weight loss goal that they have to do. So for me, tracking isn't like this has to be done in order to lose weight. It's more of this is just some extra data. This is just a little bit extra that we can do to give us some feedback on your progress. So if you're not adding in all of the data, you're not getting results.
Yeah, and you're not going to see where there's room for improvement or where fixes need to be made, anything like that. Yeah, I agree. I mean, with my clients, I do focus a lot on tracking in the beginning, but not from like to keep them under my thumb and like I want to scrutinize every little thing. It's to assess dietary trends and habits and like small tweaks and changes that could add up to big results throughout the week. Like, for example, I had a client that does her morning coffee every day and it's like her thing. And I realized after like a couple days of looking at like her breakfast, I'm like, why are these calories like so high at breakfast and the added sugar content is so high? And then I realized that she was adding like almost a half cup of creamer
oh my gosh. And they don't
to
realize,
her coffee. And I was like, okay, so you like your creamer with a splash of coffee. Cool. But like I was able to show her like, this is an area for improvement, right? And what could we try? What strategy could we implement that you can still have your coffee with your creamer because you love that and it's not sustainable to cut it out for good. So we just reduced the amount to something where like she still liked the flavor and it gave her that satisfaction, but it was half the amount. So half the added sugar, half the calories. And she's like, oh, this is just as good. Like, and I never even crossed my mind that this could be contributing to like a lot of excess sugar and calories in my day when, you know, I have a weight loss goal. So for me, the tracking is as much about like awareness and finding little things that you can change and strategies. So I think I would also want to ask your client, are they ashamed or scared of what they're doing? Like, are they trying to hide it because they're worried about judgment from you or judgment from other people? Like, I definitely can relate to that feeling. I know when I was like in my like younger 20s and very much like that diet culture, like carbs are bad, can't ever have junk food. Like I would, like you said, eat well in a public setting and then behind closed doors, it might be like 8, 9 Oreos.
Yeah, and it
like,
happens.
Or just gone because, well, I'm alone and I can, and if no one sees me, then it's not quite as bad, right? So you're just worried about that judgment.
Right.
So I think I would want to have that conversation with them about, like, are they feeling judged? Or are they worried about that?
Right. And I think that, so I know for a lot of my clients, I have a few who have children who they found sneaking candy or, you know, hiding foods that they're eating. It is, and I think especially for females, it's one of those things where we don't want people to see us eating. You know, we want people to see us eating healthy, and we are afraid of what people are going to say if we are like, you know, chowing down on a candy bar.
Yeah, well, there's that diet culture too that like women are supposed to
do that.
We're supposed to do that. We're supposed to be small. Don't take up much space. You definitely don't need to eat a lot because you're small. So like if you're hungry, like overcome it.
Right. Yeah. But I also think it leads into willpower. And so I think that people try to hide it or try to abstain from it for so long. And eventually we run out of that willpower and you can't do it anymore. And so I think there could be two parts here. One, the influence that their family has on them when they see, you know, okay, my mom is 5'5" and 100 pounds, but I am 5'5" and 220 pounds. And so I should be like this person.
Right.
Right. No one else in my family is overweight, but just only me. And so there is that, why am I not like that person? How do I get to be like that person? And then the influence of the family saying like, oh, you shouldn't eat that. You should be doing this, or this is what's making you overweight. And so it's just been a whole lifetime of them hiding those things.
Right.
To be like, well, actually, this is just how I'm built. Like I eat just like you guys at dinner and breakfast and lunch. So I don't know why I'm this way. It just is my body. And then behind closed doors, there's the food shame and the things that you are eating. But then also the willpower thing of, if we constantly abstain from the foods that we are enjoying, eventually you're just going to start binging on those things. So it's, how can we look at those foods and incorporate them in a way that fits and helps? And I think the tracking is a good idea, because you can say like, I had a Reese's peanut butter cup today, but I'm still at my 1,800 calorie range, and I hit 120 grams of protein, and I'm hitting my goals. I'm getting results.
Yeah. I also practice moderation there too. Yeah. Instead of like going face first into the peanut butter cup bag and having 4 or 5, it was like, I had one with that mindset too, that it's not all or nothing.
Right. And, and so the way that I kind of teach my clients is, I don't really care what you eat, as long as it's not affecting your gut. It's not breaking you out. It's not causing you to be constipated or have diarrhea. It's not making you sick. Within those boundaries, if you enjoy Tootsie Rolls, go have a Tootsie Roll, but incorporate it into your food so that you are hitting your protein, you are getting in a complete balanced meal, and you're not just snacking on Tootsie Rolls for lunch. Like that's not a meal.
Right.
Eat complete meals and then have a Tootsie Roll or 2, because you're full. So you're not just going to sit there with a whole bag of them.
Right.
So I think there are strategies that you can use to help you not do those binging things, but it's the hiding it is the hard part.
Well, and it's frustrating too, because you can't actually help them if they're not honest with you, or if they're hiding something. So thinking about that too, I would really want to have an honest conversation with them about, do they feel like their goal is just too much and we need to adjust it? And then how can we fit in that food that you feel like you have to hide in a way that is more sustainable and will align with a longer term goal? And when you mentioned too about still having like nutrient dense foods, I have a client that loves her Thirsty Thursday, right? And she'll tell me like every week, like Thirsty Thursday is coming up, and she's like totally honest when I'm like, okay, well maybe let's limit it to like 1 or 2 drinks. And she's like, yeah, that's not going to happen. So I appreciate the honesty.
At least she knows.
She knows. And like, I've had the conversation with her too, that like alcohol definitely inhibits your progress.
Sleep.
When you, all the things, but your progress when like you do have a weight loss or like a body recomp goal. But knowing that like she needs that to look forward to on a regular basis to kind of keep like her mental
I would say sometimes we eat to hit our goals, and then sometimes we have to eat to be happy. And there's a place for everything.
Exactly. And so the plan that I have with her and that we've worked out that works really well for her to, like you said, keep that food in the light so she doesn't feel like she has to like hide Thirsty Thursday from me, is we just make sure that breakfast, lunch, and dinner are like high protein, and she has like plant foods, and they're very like spot on nutrient dense, and she's drinking plenty of water that day. And sometimes she's willing to like try a glass of water in between the alcoholic drinks.
Other times, the strategy we use is start with a club soda and lime, and then order your alcoholic beverage, and then have a glass of water or another club soda and lime. And usually they don't drink as much because they're like, oh, I forgot, I got lost in a conversation or whatever. But
yeah, exactly. So that's the whole thing, is like finding strategies that work, that bring that food to the light, that allows them, gives them permission to have it without shame in a way that fits. And I think that maybe it'd be really important to have a conversation with them about that exact thing. Like, listen, I'm here to support you. This is a judgment-free space. But if you're not being honest with me, like if we're not bringing your food to the light, I can't help you find strategies that will work with your goals and also give you like that satisfaction piece. So I'd probably talk to them about that quite a bit. Yeah. But it's frustrating as a coach too. Like, it's, why?
Right.
Like you're only hurting yourself.
Yeah.
You've spent this money and your time and your resources. Like, be honest and transparent. That's the only way that you're going to see results.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the most important thing, is knowing like you're spending time, money, effort on all of this, and you're so dedicated, and you've done such a good job losing weight and working on your goals. And this is a little bit of a self-sabotage.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I think getting behind the psychology of what are you experiencing, talking about those feelings, and then again, bringing those foods to light. So yeah, I think that, it's important. So what would you say to our listeners to kind of wrap this up? What is your biggest strategy that you would apply here if our listeners are feeling the shame and guilt about what they're eating and are afraid to share with their coach or with their partner or their accountability person about the foods that they are eating? What would your tip be?
My tip is just do it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't help yourself until you confront it head on and you're willing to be honest and open about it. And like your coach, your accountability partner, your person in your life, they can't fully show up for you and be there for you if you're not being fully honest and transparent. And you're not going to see the results you're looking for. So I would encourage you to be honest, be open, and go to your coach and say, hey, look, this is what's working and this is what's not working. How can we adjust? And as a coach, I know I'm constantly checking with my clients, like, is this working for you? Right. Not like, are you able to do it? Because like you said, the willpower, like anybody can say, I'm not going to have pizza for X amount of time.
Right.
And eventually over time, when you're around it more and you start to think about how much you miss pizza and you really enjoy it, like eventually, like you said, willpower is not an infinite resource. Like we all have limited willpower that we have to spread out over different things throughout the day. And so when you're constantly using that willpower for food, eventually you're going to give in and it's going to feel like self-sabotage. So go to your coach and let them know what you're struggling with and ask them for a better way. And your coach should be able to give you some adjustments and help you kind of come up with a better plan that's more sustainable and that isn't going to involve you needing to be dishonest with your tracking.
Perfect. I love it. Yeah. All right, you guys, that is our advice for today. And we hope you will tune in next time to the Nutrition Revolution podcast.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for spending your time with us. If you found this podcast helpful, we would love for you to share it with your friends and family. And don't forget to subscribe on your podcast platform. If you have nutrition or fitness questions you want answered on future episodes, we would love to hear from you. You can submit these questions to our email, thenutritionrevolutionpodcast@gmail.com, and follow us on Instagram @thenutritionrevolutionpodcast.